Hello everyone, welcome to another Fight the Night review. This is for the one that took place last night at the good old UFC Apex Center, and it was between Edson Barboza and Sodiq Yusuff, the main event. So, as always, I'm going to try and break it down round by round. I have the notes to help me remember the shit I usually forget, and my cat's here too. So I say, oh, isn't he cute? I say we give it a go. We begin, as always, with round 1, and the two start with some really solid jabs. Sodiq lands a right hand early that hurts Edson, though. Edson lands a jumping knee but falls, and the two stay in the pocket to exchange. Sodiq keeps landing the hooks, rocking Edson hard and knocking him down before Edson gets broke up, but Sodiq keeps him against the cage, clocking him with more punches, walking Edson against the cage as well. Edson lands a knee, but Sodiq keeps at it with the punches, even landing a front kick before going for a clinch. He lands some knees to the body as well as elbows, keeping Edson against the cage before he gets a takedown. He mounts up and lands some elbows, eventually getting caught in a leg lock before escaping and getting to half guard. He lands some elbows before Edson hip escapes into full guard before Sodiq gets back into half guard. He attempts a guillotine but doesn't quite get it as Barboza is sort of leaning against the cage. And as Barboza escapes, Sodiq lands more ground and pound before escaping another leg lock attempt. He gets a stack guard and opens up with some clipping shots, eventually smothering Edson until the round ends. And I'm giving round 1 to Sodiq. He was just pretty much on point throughout the entire thing. He got a really good early knockdown on Edson and just stayed on him. Managed to escape some really nasty looking leg lock attempts. Edson isn't really known for his submissions, he is more known for his striking. We'll get to that very soon, trust me. But he did throw some, not necessarily desperation attempts, but he was trying to stay in the fight, and I'm surprised it wasn't stopped as soon as it was. This fight was not stopped, by the way. It goes the full 5 rounds, so always a good thing when it happens in the Apex. But yeah, I give round 1 to Sodiq. He was just on point with his striking, his clinching was really good, and he kept backing Edson up, and he was using opportunity really well and staying on him. So I give round 1 to Sodiq. We then get to round 2. Edson opens up with some good leg kicks. Sodiq checks one, but Edson starts to counter Sodiq's shots using his reach and jabs. Edson lands a spin kick to the body. Sodiq gets the clinch to push Edson to the cage, but Edson escapes easily. Sodiq pops some more jabs. The two throw from range a lot and are pretty even before Sodiq initiates the clinch. Edson throws some punches to the body before Sodiq forces Edson to the cage, throwing some knees in the clinch. Edson gets out and throws some teeps and punches, even eating another solid left hook from Sodiq. There's a stalemate for a bit, but Edson does start landing more kicks to the body, and Sodiq lands leg kicks as well, but Edson lands another spinning body kick. He lands a right that almost drops Sodiq, following that up with some crisp boxing to the head and even a nice body punch. He keeps Sodiq at range against the fence, throwing more teeps and straights and some solid body shots as well. He lands another good body kick, but eats one in exchange, but he just misses a teep before the round ends. And this was probably the closest round of the whole fight. Sodiq did have a lot of the early initial exchanges, and he was again initiating good stuff, especially with the clinch and some of the body shots as well. I was going to say, but he didn't really land much of the body. He was focused on headhunting. But Edson started putting stuff together more. And I'm giving round 2 to Edson. He was just looking a bit better, especially compared to the end of round 1. Like he had a pretty nasty sort of like swelling on his right eye, and he was bleeding a little bit. But in round 2, he looked a bit more clear-headed. Didn't look super tired going into it compared to Sodiq, who did look fairly tired, and he was expending a lot of his energy early in round 2. But yeah, Edson just outstruck Sodiq, especially from range, landed more to the body as well and mixed things up more, so I'm giving round 2 to Edson. We then go to round 3. The two start with some jabs before Edson lands a leg kick, countering more and landing a good body punch before turning that into a clinch on Sodiq against the fence. They break up quickly and Edson lands a body kick, but starts eating some punches from Sodiq before Sodiq gets another clinch. Sodiq goes for a knee to the body, but his shin accidentally hits Edson in the cup, but Edson does manage to recover quite quickly. He lands some more punches to the body, but Sodiq gets a clinch and lands a punch or two before they break away. Edson throws more leg kicks and another spinning body kick, keeping Sodiq against the cage and going body head with a heavy left combo. Edson keeps landing like this, by the way, mixing it well to the body and then going to the head before keeping Sodiq against the fence before Sodiq pushes back. He lands some jabs of his own, but Edson gets the better shots from range, eventually putting Sodiq back to the fence and throwing some nasty shots and a spinning wheel kick that knocks Sodiq down. He goes for a DOS choke in a sort of side control position and gets the back, landing ground and pound from the back before Sodiq stands up against the cage to close out the rounds. Round 3 pretty much easily goes to Edson. Sodiq was throwing some good stuff here and there, but he wasn't landing at as heavy a clip, and probably I would say Edson landed the biggest shot of the entire fight with the spinning wheel kick. The same thing that knocked Terry Edson out 11 years ago. God damn, that's a great fight. But yeah, I give round 3 to Edson. He was again more on point, mixing it well to the body, mixing up especially going body head. He started doing that a bit more through more of his leg kicks, which is one of his best weapons. He might be probably the best leg kicker in the entirety of the UFC. And again, Sodiq had some good stuff here and there, a good few jabs, a good kick or two here and there, and the accidental body knee that caused the cup did look like it landed quite well to the body. But I gave round 3 to Edson pretty easily. We then go to round 4. Edson starts with more jabs and lands another spinning back kick to the body, popping some jabs off and throwing body and leg kicks as well. Sodiq lands a couple of jabs of his own, but it is Edson keeping control, throwing more body head combos and getting clinch against Sodiq against the cage. Sodiq does escape and eventually attempts a takedown, but Edson shrugs it off really easily, moving his head to avoid more jabs and landing more kicks to the body. He keeps countering with the jabs, landing some more hooks before Sodiq lands a decent combo of his own. They both trade double jabs, and Sodiq even lands a few more jabs of his own and more straights in general before Edson gets another clinch and throws some knees, but Sodiq turns it around and pushes Edson against the cage. Edson escapes pretty easily and just shoves Sodiq away, which is kind of funny. Sodiq lands a jab but eats a leg kick, and Edson lands more body hits, mixing up well and keeping the jabs up as the round ends. So there's a few more stalemates in this round. I am giving it to Edson though. He looked still in control, but this is probably the round where Sodiq started to fight back a little bit more evenly. It's one of the more even rounds of the fight, probably the second most even behind round 2, and even with Sodiq landing as well as he could from the situations he was in, it was just Edson who's clipping him, especially with the body kicks and the spinning back kicks to the body, and landing more shots, more punches to the stomach as well, and landing more leg kicks. But, you know, Sodiq was able to get some good stuff off, but again, it felt mostly in favour of Edson, and I'm giving round 4 to Edson as a result. And finally, we get to round 5. They start with the glove touch, which is something that they hadn't done the entire fight up until this point, and Edson lets some jabs to keep Sodiq away, and Sodiq goes for a clinch, but Edson lets some hooks inside of it, and the two throw a lot of punches and knees in the clinch, and Sodiq holds onto it, even laying some body knees of his own. Edson lands another spinning kick to the body after they break away, landing more shots as well, and mixing up to the head too. He keeps up this pacing, but Sodiq does throw some good stuff at points, even landing a good hook of his own. Edson keeps countering with the jabs, even going to the body more and keeping Sodiq against cage before Sodiq lands some punches of his own, even landing a few as he's backing away against the cage. They get back in the clinch and Sodiq lands a nice couple of punches, but Edson gets a huge takedown, causing Sodiq to crawl over the cage before getting up as Edson keeps the clinch on him. They trade knees for a bit before Edson gets another takedown briefly, but Sodiq sort of gets back up, but Edson gets another takedown afterwards, right as the fight and, well, rolls the round and the fight ends. So now we've got to talk about it. I'm giving around 5 to Edson, and sort of appropriately for the fight he would win by unanimous decision. And I don't really have any complaints about that. I thought this was it was a decent enough fight in a lot of areas. I think round 2 was probably the best in terms of like back and forth, because when I do these fight the nights, I like a good back and forth contest between the two men involved, and round 1 felt way too much in favour of Sodiq, but it was a really good round for him. Round 2 was fairly even, round 4 was sort of kind of even, but besides that it felt pretty one-sided for Edson. He didn't really look that much in trouble, even in round 2 when he was starting to pull away near the end of it. Round 3 was probably Edson's best round overall, and he was just more on point in round 5 too. Round 4 was again fairly even, as where Sodiq did start to counter a bit more and start getting his bearings back, but he was still obviously very, very tired, probably because of the energy expended within round 1, and Edson was just capitalizing on it well, and I don't really think there was many points beyond round 1 where Edson was in a lot of trouble, and yeah, it was a pretty solid fight all in all. I don't think I would put this in my top 10, but I thought it was a really good fight. I don't even think the fact that it was at the Apex takes away from it. It's just, you know, I hate fight the nights that feel a bit too in favour of one person, and Sodiq was doing well enough to stay in with the majority of it, but again, I don't think Edson was in a whole lot of trouble beyond round 1. I just don't. Having said that, I do recommend you go find this fight for yourself. I thought it had some really good moments. As for what's next from me, well, if possible, a Music of the Week episode on Thursday. I've only listened to 2 albums of the 6 I've got to go over for this week's reviews, so that's going to be fun. I will try and double up on that, and yeah, that's about it. Also, I hope you all enjoyed the return show for PPW vs AVW. There was some good stuff on it, especially in the AVW half. Good lord, that opener was quite good. So I'll see you all pretty much on Thursday, but definitely on Friday for something. So that'll be able to do it. And me and my cat say, as always, hello. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye. He's so cute. He should be in more videos.